Babysitters Club. The Babysitters Club. At least chapter 5, maybe chapter 6 if we have time. Now, if you have not heard the previous chapters, that's okay. If you'd rather just jump into this is the point of it. It's just to relax, so you can just stay on this video and hang out. However, if you would like to start from chapter 1, I have a whispered reading playlist. I'm sure I'll link it. If not, you can go to my page, and that has all of the videos in order, so you can always go there. I release original versions and rainy versions a week, maybe a week or two later. So there should be 2 versions of this coming out. They'll be on my channel. So I'm excited. I'm actually really, really, really excited to read this today because unlike Pride and Prejudice that I've been reading, that one's a comfort book for me. So I love that I know what's going to happen, and I also know I forget things because it is a long book and there's so much, so it's fun, but I have read it before. This is exciting because I don't know what's gonna happen. So I did watch the Babysitter Club show, so I do know the characters well, but I'm very new to this. I don't know what's gonna happen. Which one is this? This is called Mary Ann Saves the Day. I don't think I've said that yet. I don't know what's gonna happen, so it's exciting for me to get to read it. I feel like it flows really well, and it's just fun. So we're gonna get through at least chapter 5 today, and I don't know about 6. It just depends how long chapter 5 is. So we are like really in the good part of the book. I feel the next few videos are gonna really be in the meat of it. So let's see what happens. Let's get started. Chapter 5. Chapter 5. On the way to the Kishi's house, I told myself that if Claudia answered the door, it would be a good sign. It would be easy for her to let someone else answer it. So if she made the effort, then it probably meant she wasn't so mad anymore. I rang the bell. Mimi opened the door. She looked worried. "Hello, Marianne," she said solemnly. "Hi, Mimi." I hesitated. Usually, I run right upstairs. "Claudia's here, isn't she?" "Yes, of course. Stacy is here, too." I knew she wanted to say something more, but was too tactful. "Well, I'll go on up too. See you later, Mimi." I walked up the stairs, dashed by Janine's room, and entered Claudia's. There was Stacy and Claudia. Stacy was sitting cross-legged on the bed, staring at her hands. Claudia was seated stiffly in her director's chair, gazing out the window. Neither one spoke when I entered the room. Remembering what had happened at Christie's house that morning, I decided not to be the one to make the first move. I sat down tentatively on the floor. The phone rang. Claudia was nearest to it, so she took the call. "Hello, the Babysitters Club." "Oh, hi. Saturday morning. Okay. I'll call you right back. Goodbye." Finally, I thought, now someone will have to say something. Claudia hung up the phone. The Johansons, they need someone for Charlotte on Saturday morning. "Who's free?" "I am," said Stacy to her hands. "Marianne." I shook my head. "I'm not either," said Claudia. "I guess it's yours, Stacy." "Fine." Stacy managed to look pleased through her anger. "Charlotte is her favorite kid." "What about Christy?" I asked. "She's not here," said Claudia shortly, "and she knows the rules. She made the rules. If she doesn't phone to tell us she'll be late or she can't make it, then she misses out on jobs. I'll call Dr. Johansson and tell her that she," Claudia shot a dirty look at Stacy, "will be babysitting." When she turned to dial the which one it was. I did not, exclaimed Claudia. How would I know that? You made the scraps of paper. Are you calling me a cheater? You said it, I didn't. Oh, brother, I thought, here we go again. In the end, Stacy allowed Claudia to keep the job. The phone rang 2 more times before the end of our meeting, and we managed to set up the babysitting jobs without actual violence. At precisely 6 o'clock, Stacy stood up and marched out of Claudia's room without so much as a word. Claudia and I looked at each other, but Claudia didn't say anything either, so I followed Stacy. Mimi watched us walk silently out the front door. As we stepped onto the lawn, Stacy broke into a run, but for some reason I turned around and looked back at the house. Claudia was in her window. I hesitated. Then I waved to her. She flashed me a hopeful smile and waved back. On impulse, I ran up the quiche steps again, opened the door, called Mimi, and handed her the note I had written to Claudia. Then I ran across the street to my house. My father hadn't come home yet. When the numbers on the digital clock flipped to 6:15 and he still wasn't home, I took it as a sign and decided to call Claudia. If I didn't talk to her before supper, I'd have to wait until the next morning. I dialed her private number. Hello? Hi, Claudia, I said nervously. It's Marianne. Oh, hi. Well, I got your note. Mimi gave it to me. Thanks. You're welcome. I forgive you, and I'm sorry I got mad too, Claudia said rather stiffly. Well, I didn't know what to say next. Was our fight over? Well, one reason I'm calling is Christy. Since she went to the Shillipers today, I said, and skipped our meeting, I guess that means she doesn't want to be a part of the club. I mean, I don't know. I guess for a while anyway, she doesn't want to be a part of it, agreed Claudia. What should we do about the club then? I mean, she is president. I know. I was thinking about that. We shouldn't really keep taking jobs without asking her whether she wants them. Yeah, on the other hand, she should come to the meetings. Claudia didn't say anything. Claude, I just don't know what to do. Stacy is almost as mad as Christy is. What's strange, I said, is that Christy hasn't said she wants the club to go out of business. She's just ignoring it. And the club is her business. Why would she let us run it without her when we're the ones she's mad at? Claudia was probably shrugging her shoulders. Maybe you and I should talk to Stacy and Christy tomorrow and see what they want to do. We certainly can't keep having meetings like the one we just had. If you talk to Christy, I'll talk to Stacy. All right, I agreed, but it's not going to be easy. I didn't tell Claudia about Christy and the door slamming. I figured she was having just as much trouble with Stacy as I was having with Christy. How was I supposed to talk to Christy? I didn't want to go to her house again, and I had a feeling that if I called her on the phone, she'd simply hang up on me. The only thing left to do was to surprise her. I ambushed her at school the next morning as she came out of the girls' room. I stepped right in front of her. "Excuse me," said Christy haughtily. My heart was pounding like a jackhammer, but I stood my ground. "I have to talk to you," I said. "No, you don't." "Yes, I do." "No." "Yes." "No." "We have to decide what to do about the club. Are you out of it?" "Out of it? It's my club." "Exactly. What do you mean by exactly?" "I mean, it's your club, but you didn't go to the meeting yesterday." "It's my club, so I don't have to go to the meeting." Christy was still staring at me. At last, she managed to stay. "You just invited her over to your house." At last, she managed to say, "You just invited her over to your house." "Right, but you You never ask anyone over except me. You don't even usually invite Claudia or Stacy over. I shrugged. Dawn's a good friend. Christy narrowed her eyes. I think she knew what game I was playing, because she chose that moment to say, "Oh, by the way, Mom extended my babysitting hours. Now I can stay out as late as Stacy. 10 o'clock on weekends, 9:30 on weeknights." It was my turn to widen my eyes. 10 o'clock. Christy could stay out until 10. That meant I had to be home earlier than any other club member. I could feel my face flush. Christy might just as well have pinned a sign to me that said baby, because that's what I was. The only baby in the Babysitters Club. Christy walked off, smirking. I hung my head, mad at Christy and mad at my father. I knew I had to do something, but what? We have chapter 6. It looks long, so I don't know that we're going to be able to do the entire chapter. Let's just see how far we get, okay? I'm curious what's going to happen. Chapter 6. According to our new emergency operating procedures, the Babysitters Club meetings were handled by one club member at a time. Friday was my first day. Since Claudia and I were speaking, she stayed in her room with me. But we stuck to Christy's new rules, and I took all but one of the jobs that afternoon. The last call that came in was from a woman named Miss Preciso. I knew the Precisos slightly. They live on Burnt Hill Road, not far from Dawn, and are friends with the Pikes, the 8-kid family our club members often said for. I had met the Precisos several times at the Pikes. "Hello, the Babysitters Club," I said when I answered Miss Preciso's call. "Hello, this is Madeline Preciso, over on Burnt Hill Road. To whom am I speaking?" "To whom is she speaking?" "This is Mary Ann Spear," I said. "Oh, Mary Ann, hello dear. How are you?" "Fine, thank you," I replied politely. "How are you?" I should mention here that the Precisos, all three of them, look extremely prim and proper. But Miss Preciso is the only one who acts that way too. She's fussy and fastidious, kind of like the neat half of The Odd Couple. She's always polite and usually appears to have stepped right out of the pages of one of those magazines that gives tips on getting out hard to remove stains and baking the perfect loaf of zucchini bread. She buys 3-piece suits and monogrammed handkerchiefs for the Precisos. And Jenny, their 3-year-old daughter, well, Miss Preciso dresses her as if every day were Easter Sunday. She puts ribbons in her hair and lazy socks on her feet. Miss B probably thinks jeans is a dirty word. Poor Jenny doesn't seem to be the prim, fastidious type at all. Neither does Mr. B. When I'm around him, I usually have the feeling that he'd rather be dozing in front of the TV in overalls, a t-shirt, and mismatched socks. And Jenny tries hard, but she isn't what her mother wants her to be. Miss B and I chatted for a minute or so and then got down to business. "I know this is last minute, dear," she said, "but I need a sitter for Sunday afternoon. Mr. Preciso and I have been invited to a tea." "What time does it start?" I asked. 4 o'clock. I should think we'd be home by 6 or 6:30. "Okay, I'll be there." "That's wonderful, dear. Thank you. I'll see you at 4. Goodbye." I hung up the phone thoughtfully. The afternoon at the Precisos could be pretty interesting. On Sunday afternoon, I rang the Precisos' doorbell promptly at 3:30. Jenny came flying to answer it. I could hear her calling hello and fiddling with the locks. After a few moments, she pulled it open, but the chain was still attached. Crack! "Jenny," a voice exclaimed behind her, "did you ask who was there before you opened the door?" "No, Mommy." "Well, what are you supposed to do when the doorbell rings?" "Say, who is it?" "Then please do that." The door closed. The lock slid back into place. "Mary Ann," Miss Preciso called, "would you mind ringing the bell again, please?" Miss Preciso, her new dress, and your new ascot. Nick, please. What's an ascot? Mr. B returned Jenny safely to the ground. Well, let's go. Thanks for coming over, Mary Lou. Mary Ann, Jenny corrected him. Miss B stood in front of her husband. She straightened his tie, adjusted his jacket, and arranged the handkerchief in his pocket so that it was absolutely straight, and the monogram was perfectly centered. Then she turned around and stood next to her husband. How do we look? She asked me. I glanced at Jenny. Jenny was watching me. I blushed. You look somehow very nice didn't sound like enough. You look like a picture out of a magazine, I finally said. And they did, all posed and stiff. Miss B appeared confused, but recovered quickly. Why, thank you, dear. There was a pause. You're welcome, I said to fill the silence. Now we'll be at the Elliott Degards this afternoon, said Miss Prezioso. Their number is written on the message board in the kitchen, and the emergency numbers are right next to the phone. If we're not home by 6 o'clock, you can give Jenny a sandwich for supper. Okay, I said. Jenny and I walked her parents to the back door. Have fun, I called as they climbed into their car. I closed the door and leaned against it for a few seconds. Well, I said to Jenny, what do you want to do first? Jenny flopped on the couch in the playroom and pouted. Nothing. Oh, come on, I said brightly. There must be something you want to do. We have 2 hours to play. Jenny stuck out her lower lip and shook her head. Well, in that case, I'll just play with the Kid Kid by myself. Kid Kids were something Christy had dreamed up to make us babysitters as much fun as possible for our charges. Each of us had decorated a cardboard carton, which we labeled Kid Kid. We kept our boxes filled with books and games, our own, plus activity books that we paid for out of our club dues. The kids we babysit for love the Kid Kids and look forward to our visits because of them. But Jenny had never seen one. What's a Kid Kid? She asked. Oh, just something I brought with me. I'd left it on the front porch so I could surprise Jenny with it after the Preziosos left. I retrieved it and sat down on the floor in the middle of the playroom. I opened the box and began pulling things out. 3 books, 2 games, a box of color forms, a sticker book, and a paint with water book. I turned my back on Jenny and began peeling balloons off the back page of the sticker book. After a moment, Jenny left the couch and edged toward me and the Kid Kid. She watched me put stickers in the book. Then she glanced at the things I'd pulled out. She opened the box of color forms. It was an old set of mine called Miss Cookie's Kitchen. She touched the flat plastic pots and pans and food. Then she put the lid back on the box. I can play with this stuff, she asked. Sure, that's why I brought it. I can play with anything I want. Of course. Is this a painting book? I glanced up. Oh, yes. Here, how about the stickers? Don't they look fun? Don't they look like fun? I want to paint. Oh, okay. I looked at Jenny's pristine white dress. I looked at the paint with water book. Wasn't the point of painting with water that it wasn't messy? I went to the kitchen and half-filled a paper cup with water. Then I brought it back to Jenny, opened the paint book for her, and settled her on the floor. Okay, go do it, I said. All you have to do is brush water over the pictures and the color will appear. Make sure you rinse the brush off pretty often so the colors don't mix together. Okay? Jenny nodded. And be careful, I added. Jenny was sitting cross-legged and the book spread open in front of her. She dipped the paintbrush in the water and moved it slowly toward the book. Drip, drip, drip. 3 wet spots appeared on her dress. I closed my eyes. It was only water. Still. Jenny, wouldn't you like to put on play clothes while you paint? I thought she must own something more casual than what she had on. No, not even a smock. We could put it on over I closed